Well, it's good to be with you
Thank you.
today. Yes, you're right. We were in Beirut for about 9 days. The American Task Force on Lebanon met with the president and prime minister on multiple occasions during that week. We met with a good number, more than a dozen of the ministers, the central bank governor, and more than 30 parliamentarians. Our message was basically to give them a sense of what's going on in Washington with regard to two things. One, the ceasefire agreement and the progress it's making, and what Washington sees as speeding up the process in that regard. And secondly, the IMF proposals that have been made to the Lebanese government and parliament in the hopes that they would also look at two specific bills, one on bank secrecy and one on bank resolution, and hopefully bring consensus to bear and two laws to bear in the next month or so. Those are the two issues that we discussed and Washington's view of those.
Sir Gabriel, Lebanon is facing both internal reform pressures and external threats. How critical is U.S. support in keeping Lebanon on a path towards stability?
Well, we were there at the same time that envoy Morgan Ortagus was there, envoy to Lebanon, Morgan Ortagus. And we heard from the Lebanese people, and I'm sure the envoy did too. We heard from the Lebanese people and government that the United States support is very crucial and important. They really can't move forward on both fronts without U.S. support. But our message was clear that Washington is really looking for reforms, the beginning of reforms very quickly, and the full implementation of the ceasefire, both north and south of the Litani. I left Beirut more optimistic than when I came. I think the president and envoy Ortegas's visit, as well as the visit with the prime minister, was very productive.
Mm-hmm.
The message that we got in our separate meetings was that they were moving on very specific timetables and goals with regard to not only finishing the disarming south of the Litani, but beginning a process on a national defense strategy for the north of the Litani. So that went well. On the government side, the two proposals on bank secrecy and bank resolution are being pretty well accepted by the government, and it's the new government. The question will be when it goes to the parliament, can they act quickly? The message was that hopefully by the time the spring meetings of the IMF are held with the World Bank as well, later in April, that they will see progress.
Mm-hmm. UN Resolution 1701 remains a point of contention, with Israel accused of continued violations. Now, how might these violations affect Lebanon's credibility in the eyes of the U.S. officials?
That's a great point. Look, the ceasefire is just not about disarmament. There's several points to it. One is disarming above and below the Litani, but it also requires making sure that the Lebanese armed forces is properly equipped, trained, and has the necessary support it needs to do its job. That's a commitment the United States made some time ago. That has to be delivered for the LAF to do its job. Secondly, it requires for the IDF, the Israeli forces, to withdraw from the last remaining 5 points that they're at as part of this process. And the third point, and I think which is really important, they're beginning the border demarcation along the Israeli-Lebanese border. As that, I think, moves forward, we will see a coming together on the withdrawal of the forces from Israel. But also, it's important to see U.S. support for the Lebanese armed forces north of the Litani. They're going to need many more troops. So you're right. It's a multifaceted effort in order to see the ceasefire done with balance to both sides.
Mm-hmm. We're just seeing on screen now footage of pictures of you during those meetings. Now, President Aoun emphasized the need for a national security strategy. Do you see real momentum for such a document? And what role can the United States play in supporting its creation?
Well, the dialogue for national defense strategy, of course, is up to the Lebanese, led by the president. But we were very encouraged in talking to him that I think he's going to move maybe in the next few days to begin that process. And it's something that I think the United States is expecting to see results from in the coming month or two. So along with the economic packages, I think things are beginning to move very quickly. And let's see what happens in Lebanon in the next couple of months. But one of the comments that were made continuously by people from the United States to the government was, if you don't have reforms, if you don't have disarming, you're not going to get the support and money you need from the United States. It's a new day with a new administration, and I think they're very serious. I should say also that Envoy Ortega seems she very much wants to succeed in this effort. So they have a good partner in her, but she needs a partner in them as well on these couple of points.
Mm-hmm.